Indeed. מה זה התמונה?
לא יודע. של מי זה?
מעניין. וגם מוזר.
את האישה שיושבת שם.
כן, אני רואה. אוקיי. All right, my friends, welcome everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You all are spread out so weirdly
don't get too
tonight.
close.
That just means that you're going to have to sing really loud because there's no one sitting next to you to make it clear that you're not singing. So let's start. Let's start with a fun one just for that reason. So let's start tonight on page 10. So this is Yedid Nefesh. It's in the middle of the page. Yeah, let's do maybe a kippur or two.
Really?
Yes, let's do it.
Starting on a high note.
Yes. Very good.
Bekarov.
All right, so for this one, some of you know this one. If you don't, remember there's a point where you're going to say lie, 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 and I'll point to you so that you remember. Yedi nefesh avarachaman, yedi nefesh avarachaman, meshochav dacha, el retzonacha, meshochav Meshach Avdacha. Ya la la la.
Oh my, what do we, this is the holy service.
Thank God for Ella. I always say thank God for Ella, but
sacred
really,
event.
my friends. Okay, we're going to do it
We're
again.
bringing in
When I
Shabbat.
point to you, ya la la la.
Okay.
We're starting from the beginning. Okay.
Should we go deep, like lower?
No, we got it. We got it. They're prepared. Okay. Yedi nefesh avarachaman, Yedi nefesh avarachaman, Meshoch avdacha, El retzonacha, Meshoch avdacha, Ya la 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 la, El retzonacha.
We can do it.
Yarutz avdacha, Kemoya, Yishtachaveh Yelai, Yelai, Lai, 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 Emul Hadracha, Yedi Nefesh Avarachaman, Yedi Nefesh Avarachaman, Meshoch Avdacha, El Retzonacha, Meshoch Avdacha, Ya la 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 la, El Retzonacha. Beautiful. So let's do one more, just for fun. All right, so on the other side of the page, on page 11, at the bottom of the page, this is Ki Eshmera Shabbat. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Oti leomeyad, Beino veini. Oti leomeyad, Beino veini. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Ki Eshmera Shabbat, El Yishmereni. Beautiful. So this weekend, besides just celebrating Shabbat, it's never just Shabbat, but we are also celebrating the bar mitzvah of Ray, and so we are going to invite Ray Kurz and Isaac Kurz to come on up and help us. Isaac, did you know you were being roped into this? Yes,
You've been
come on up.
voluntold.
They are going to help us with our Shabbat blessings. Okay, totally fine. And Natalie's coming as well. Our Shabbat blessings, which can be found on page 2, beginning with the candles. Isaac, pick up that lightsaber-like looking thing there. There you go. Adonai, Eloheinu, melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen. All right, Ray, you want to pick up the cup? Finish cup? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen. Ready.
It's very exciting.
It's all right. There's
Very
challah.
exciting.
Wait. Challah too.
One
There's
last
more.
thing.
There's more. More blessings to be had. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Don't forget to
Amen.
eat.
All right, someone has to take a bite, or it's not official. Beautiful. Nicely done. So every time we come together for Shabbat, we find different ways to sort of acknowledge that this time is different and more special than any day of the week. And one of the ways we do this is on page 24 with the words of Shalom Aleichem as we welcome the Sabbath angels into our midst, reminding ourselves that this time is just a little bit more holy than any other time. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei amlachim, HaKadosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeirchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then on page 28, I would invite you to please rise and we'll join together in the call to worship with the birds of the Baruch Hu. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Continuing on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim.
On the bottom of 33, we read responsively, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love
than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form?
Baruch atah Adonai,
Ohev Amo Yisrael. And we join in the watchword of our people, the words of the Shema on 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam lebanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'v'lechtecha b'derech, u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam la'ot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha, u'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tizkeru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, V'yitem kadoshim le'Elohechem, ani
Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzetziechem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem le'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there's a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, and singing the song that our ancestors sang at the shores of the sea on page 40, the Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha, Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedor B'Kodesh, Norati Lot, Osei Feleh, Norati Lot, Osei Feleh, Mi Chamocha, Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedor B'Kodesh. Mi Chamocha is the song our ancestors sang as they went on their journey to freedom. But we know that freedom does not come easily, and sometimes once we've found freedom, we don't know exactly what to do with it. And so in our evening services, we always follow our prayer thanking God for freedom by asking God to spread a shelter of peace over us wherever we may go. Those words are Hashkivenu on page 42. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, l'chamideinu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings. Shelter us beneath thy wings. O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, Ahamideinu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, amen. We rise together on page 46 as we join in words of tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai,
מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים והופך חולים, ומציל אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומיתו מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. On page 55, we read together at the top of the page, May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its purpose. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate amongst the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Please be seated. So at this time in our service, we do as we always do. We skip all the way forward to page 253 so that we can take a few moments to offer prayers for healing. And when we do this, we always direct our hearts to anyone who may be in your circle of family or friends or in our community who could use some healing prayers and would appreciate that their names were said here. So if you'd like to share a name at this time, I would invite you to do so. So we're thinking too at this time of Arlene Alper and Eric Ash, of Moshe Aaron ben Leah Bela, of Chana Bat Rochelle, Reza HaKohen, of Carl Greenberg, Nathan Levinson, of Joanne Levy, of Kalanitz Meira Bat Sarah, of Drew Patchen, of Jim Schlitter, and Lisi Weinstein. So thinking of each of them and thinking of all we keep in our hearts, and so too praying for all of the hostages who we keep the tallis on the chair until they come home, praying for each of them and everyone who's in need of healing. We sing our Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Bracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. and let us sing Amen. Oh, say shalom, b'amroma. Oh, yeah, say shalom, aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'amroma. Oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom b'amroma. Oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Well, my friends, we did it. We have finally made it to the end of the book of Leviticus. And for those of you who've been here every week, you know that this is a long book and it's a little bit challenging. Now, Leviticus has its merits, but when we compare it to the other books of the Torah, we have Genesis that has all of the wonderful origin stories and the matriarchs and the patriarchs, and then Exodus, which has Moses and the Exodus. And then Numbers is kind of the continuing story of the Exodus, and then Deuteronomy is, Moses' big sort of recap of all the highlights of the journey. But Leviticus, right in the middle, Leviticus is just about laws. And there are a lot of them. There's 613 mitzvot, 613 laws in the whole Torah, and 253 of them are in the book of Leviticus. And while I've never been very good at math, we call Debbie Schultz when our children have math help that they need. I know that 253 is at least more than a third of the Torah and the laws in the Torah, and that is a lot of laws. And there are some beautiful and meaningful laws in Leviticus, some laws that actually help define who we are as a people. It's in Leviticus that we find some of the teachings that really talk to us about how we should take care of our community, in particular, how we take care of people in need. It's Leviticus that reminds us that if you're a farmer, you should always leave the corners of your field for those who are in need. And it reminds us that we should respect those who are older and wiser than us. But it also has a lot that doesn't exactly seem to relate. It has many of the laws about what used to happen in the ancient temple with all of the different sacrifices. It has some laws that are really kind of upsetting, like the laws about sexuality and human relationships. And it has laws that just make no sense, like shotness, which is the rule that says that you may not wear wool and linen together. I know, exactly. All of those laws are in Leviticus. And it's for that reason that actually when the Reform movement started, there were early Reform Jews who said, what if we just got rid of Leviticus altogether? What actually bothered them the most about Leviticus was not shotness, even though that's a good one. What bothered them the most about Leviticus was that there's so many laws in Leviticus, not just that have to do with the ancient temple, which has been destroyed all the way since 70 CE, but there's also a lot in Leviticus about the priesthood and Aaron and his sons and the idea that Jewish leadership should be passed through one generation to the next, which even though there are quite a few rabbis out there whose parents were also rabbis, theoretically, at least in Reform Judaism, we do not like the idea that something like priesthood should be passed on from one generation to the next. So early Reform Jews were very tempted just to get rid of Leviticus altogether. But I will also point out that even though in Reform Judaism we sort of figured it out, right? In Reform Judaism, instead what we decided to do was we said we believe in the idea of choice through knowledge, that you should learn as much as possible and then decide which of the mitzvot, which of the laws are right for you. I also want to point out that even in Orthodox Judaism, where they do consider halakha binding, they do consider that you should be following all of the mitzvot, the truth is Orthodox Jews also do not follow 613 mitzvot. They also do not follow many of the laws, specifically in the book of Leviticus. Some of them because you can't. Because there is no ancient temple, there's no way to go and offer all of those sacrifices. We have to wait until the temple is rebuilt. So no one is following any of those laws about animal sacrifice, even though every year someone always calls us and asks us where to get a goat for animal sacrifice, and we say we don't do that anymore. But there is no sacrifice, even in Orthodox Judaism. But Orthodox Judaism also struggles with some of the other mitzvot, some of the other laws that are in the Torah, specifically in Leviticus, like the law that says that if you have a very rebellious son, I'm looking at some of the children out there, if you have, George, looking at you, buddy, if you have a very rebellious son who disrespects his parents, you know what you're supposed to do? You are supposed to take him out into the middle of the town and let everyone stone him to death. That's a law in Leviticus, right? So they are not doing that in the Orthodox community. And there are also other teachings, like the idea that says that the way we should do justice is an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, which sounds like a very good idea, except then you realize that at some point everyone is going to end up blind and toothless, and it's just never going to stop. So neither Reform Jews or Orthodox Jews, or frankly anyone in between, none of the Jewish people are actually following all of the mitzvot in the Torah, or all of the mitzvot that are in the book of Leviticus. Which sounds all fine and well, except when you get to this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion, which is the very last one in the book of Leviticus, we have been waiting and waiting, hearing all of these different laws, and finally we get to this last Torah portion, and it tells us what's going to happen if you follow the mitzvot. The good news is, if you follow all the mitzvot, God is going to do wonderful things for you. The bad news is, if you don't follow all of the mitzvot, terrible things are going to happen to you. And when I say terrible things, I mean so terrible that in Jewish tradition, this particular Torah portion, there are all sorts of traditions for what you're supposed to do. And some congregations, again, even in Orthodox congregations, they don't even read this portion. They just skip over it altogether. In some congregations, the tradition is that you should read them incredibly quickly so that no one can actually hear these terrible curses. In some congregations, it's that you do it very, very quietly. And the best one, actually, is that there are two sort of traditions that oppose each other. One says that you should have the least important person read. I don't know how they choose that. You should have the least important person read these curses out loud in case like saying them makes them happen. And the other one says you should have the most important person read them because I guess they can handle it. But the curses are terrible. The things that God says are going to happen to you if you don't follow the mitzvot are too bad to say out loud. And nowhere in this Torah portion does it say, but it's okay if you're a Reform Jew and you've decided that the mitzvot are binding. So too, it doesn't say it's okay if you're Orthodox and you have decided that some of these laws are metaphors. It just says, if you don't follow all of these rules, something very, very bad is going to happen to you. And so we are left then with this awful, awful Torah portion. Sorry, Ray, you can hear Ray's version of this tomorrow, which is lovely. But we're left with this awful Torah portion that's very, very hard to reconcile unless we're just going to ignore it. But what I'd like to suggest is maybe when we're looking at this Torah portion, maybe we shouldn't be focusing so much on the idea of these mitzvahs, of these different commandments, and whether or not we are doing them. Maybe the real issue at hand is not the mitzvah, but it's the mitzvah. It is the person or the one who commands. Maybe our problem here is not the commandments themselves, but God who commands them. Because the thing is that whatever kind of Judaism you practice, we have all somehow made peace with the way that we are understanding Judaism. We have come up with some brilliant idea for how in 2025, each of us, 2024, not there yet, that all of us can figure out how to relate to Judaism ourselves. But when it comes to God, when it comes to the commander, the one who's giving us these commandments, most of us still have a very, very old-fashioned idea of who God is. Most of us still think of God as the way that the Torah describes God, which is basically some sort of physical being who knows you, who can reach out and write the Torah with his finger, who is a he, by the way, who has a nose, who has a back. And are there other body parts? Those are the big ones. Oh, finger. Yeah, finger, nose, and back. We hear all these about God. So many of us still think of God as this way, as being a person, essentially, who's sitting up on a cloud somewhere giving us these commandments. But if we can be so creative with the way that we understand the commandments, why can't we be a little bit more creative with the way we think about God? Are we really so limited in our understanding to think that actually God is so limited as to be a person who looks and talks and feels just like us? So for those of you who have been in Rabbi Michael and my classes over the years before, you've probably heard some of our different ideas about who or what God is. But we know that at least throughout the ages, at least since, let's say, the 9th century, there have been Jews who have said, maybe God is not like that at all. Maybe God is not some guy sitting on a cloud saying whoever is naughty and whoever is nice is going to get a reward or a punishment. And probably the best description that I have ever heard, the one that works for me the most, was created by a man who we sometimes call him Gersonides. His real name was Levi ben Gershon. Sometimes a lot of the famous rabbis have acronyms for their names. He is Ralbag. Not quite as cool as like Rashi, but Ralbag is pretty good. But Ralbag or Gersonides, the way that he described God was like this. He said, what if God is not a being at all? What if God is, scary as this may be to say, not actually someone who knows you and loves you, is maybe not a someone at all. But what if God is just the order of all existing things? What if God somehow is this web that actually connects us all to each other? If that's who God is, then that means that, in fact, what we do in this world, it does affect us. It does affect other people, and not in the same way as in Ray's Torah portion. It doesn't specifically say, if you do these terrible things, a terrible thing will happen to you. But here's the kicker. In the Torah portion, it doesn't specifically say, Ella, if you don't follow this commandment, something bad will happen to you. Yes, obviously it wasn't you anyway, because you're the one who's doing all 613. What it says is you all. What it says is if you all follow the commandments, then good things will happen to you all. And if you all don't follow the commandments, then not such good things will happen to you all. But the point is that by putting it in the plural, God is saying all of us are in it together. Just like Gersonides explained, really, if actually what God is all of the ties that connect us, that bind us together, then it makes sense that really the more good things and the more mitzvahs that each of us do, maybe the more good things will happen to all of us. It's not as clean and easy as the way that we teach our children, that if you do something good, the reward will come your way, and that if you do something bad, you will be punished. It's much more complicated if we have to be responsible for the people around us. It's much more complicated and difficult if it means that sometimes we will do good things and we won't immediately see our reward. But if, in fact, God is more than just a mitzvah, a commandment, it means that we can keep doing the mitzvahs, and maybe, just maybe, all of us together will realize that we are very much connected, and then we'll see the God in all of us. So it's a tradition at the end of a book of Torah that there's a line that we say, and I said it today for some of you, that we're supposed to say, Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. It means strength, strength, and let us be strengthened. So may we find the strength to be able to go out and keep doing the mitzvahs, to keep doing the commandments and living in good ways, even if it's hard, even if we don't actually see reward and punishment coming our way. May we find the strength to just keep going. So I'll ask you to repeat after me. chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek. Shabbat Shalom. So I'll ask you now, if you will, to please rise, and we're going to turn to page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'artzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol amonam, va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. On 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair.
Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. This time we recall with love the name of one taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to her family in sympathy as we recall her name, Annette Ray. And we now recall the names of those the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or in the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial: Isaac Burstein, Catherine Silverman Cohen, Pauline Catler Cohen, Marjorie Feldman Korn, Jack R. Cutter, Scott Allen Dankner, Stanley V. Friedheim, Doris May Hack Friedman, J. Stephen Feudenberg, Simon Gelber, Dr. Max J. Goldenson, Leon Gutman, Lois Grand, Samuel Hamburg, Pearl Height, Louis A. Horwitz, Linda Heiken, Saul Morton Isaac, Benjamin Jaffe, Carl Kahn, Charles Kahn, Ruth Farrer Kopman, Lorraine Claire Lander, Belle Grosby Levin, Molly Rosenkrantz Levin, Cindy E. Liederman, Bella Lipkin, August Lipson, Sophie Lissner, Rebecca K. Losses, Clarice Linford, Walter B. Mainzer, Carola Margraf, Mildred Epstein Nemzer, George Pittler, Aline Polsky, Isaac Rosenblatt, Harry Irving Samuels, Diana Freda Schreiber, Sylvia Schwartz, Joseph Shapiro, Marnie Ray Schifrin, Abe I. Small, Marion Solomon, Sam Tucker, Anna Weil, Gerald Weinstein, Marion Persky Weiss, and Muriel Horn Zweig. So with these names and the names we keep in our hearts, we turn to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei b'kudusha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'necherata, damiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
So though for many of us who have children or grandchildren who are educators, Mazel Tov, you have made it to summer. Even though it is officially summer, we're still in serious temple mode here at CI, at least through the month of June. Temple mode, is that a
really
thing?
intense,
yeah. So we do have a lot of things coming up. Next week following services, we have a class, especially for those of you who come to services and think, I never have any idea what's going on. Don't worry, you are not alone. And so we're going to do like a walk through the Shabbat prayer book next week, just to sort of get you interested and started. And there's many other opportunities coming up.
Practical Judaism is a lot of summer programs, a lot of summer learning, summer of learning.
So look at your e-blast every week, and we hope to see many of you soon. Next week, summer camp starts, so there will be many, many little ones around as well, which is lots of fun. So for our closing song tonight, we're going to sing Olam Chesed Yibaneh. The words are simple. That's really it. Olam Chesed Yibaneh just means I will build this world. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalalai, Yalalai, Yalalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yalalai, Yalalai, Yalalai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Yadadai, Yadadai. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, Yadadai, Yadadai, Yadadai. I will build this world. I will build this world from love. Yadadai, Yadadai, Yadadai. You will build, and you will build this world from love. Yadadai, 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 and if we build this world from love, yadadai, 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 God will build, and God will build this world from love, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Shabbat shalom, everyone.